Welcome back, everybody. We are here talking about salvage and mining today. I have OG over here.
Doctor OG. See the glasses.
No, there's no way. I'm not. I'm not giving you that. I'm not. I'm not
I
giving
got it
you that.
online.
I don't care. I'm not giving you that. I'm not giving you that. Pick a
That's
different name.
stupid. Professor OG.
We got Rimfire up top, one of our org mates. Rimfire, how you doing?
Pretty good time yourself.
Good deal. We are
Hanging
doing
in
well.
there.
Rimfire, do us a
Fantastic.
solid first time on the episode. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Kind of give us a background of your Star Citizen gaming history and all that good stuff.
So originally I saw Star Citizen in some YouTube videos and I thought, this looks cool, let's give it a go. I used to play EVE Online, where I was very focused in mining and industry. When I heard Star Citizen was having mining and industry gameplay, that's what spoke to me first, because I am hugely into kind of crafting. And
Right.
the start of crafting is always going to be material acquisition. So that's what I thought I'd start out with.
Heck yeah.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
Oh, that was about 3 years ago now, I think.
Three years ago now? Okay.
Just before 2020.
Okay. All right. So before the
Heck
big
yeah.
old everybody gets put in a room and nobody's allowed to come out.
Yeah, because I remember having a PC that would barely run it. And then thinking, right, time to
gotcha.
build a new one.
You're what?
Yeah.
Sorry, time to build a new one.
Oh, I feel you.
At the start of 2020.
I got you.
I think
also
a
got
majority of us did that, built our setups for PC. I know, or for Star Citizen. I know I did. 100%.
Yeah. I made the big mistake of in 2020, just in I think March of it, thinking I'll build a new computer, and as soon as the 30 series launches, I'll get myself a decent graphics card.
Yeah. We all had that same hope and dream.
right.
Yeah. Watch that crash and burn from the inside of my bedroom.
Oh, gee, I think you got the first couple of questions there. Why don't you go ahead and start us off and let's get the show on the
I
road.
get to ask questions. Man, that's what I'm talking about. He needs some of that coffee, by the way. He needs some of that.
He's not getting any of this coffee. He could try all he
So-
wants.
Rim, I know you talked about. Did you say what was that game called? Did you just say? Was it
EVE Online.
EVE Online.
Yeah.
I had to check that out. I haven't heard of that.
No, you
So you
don't.
said
Don't
that
do
was
it. Don't do it. I did it, man, and I went for the science and before we even get into this, we went into the science. I went into the science and exploration. What was it? Trade or career path? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to check it out because it went free to play like a few years ago, right? And I was like, I'm gonna take a look at it, and so I was like, sure, whatever, and did the whole science and exploration thing, and it was like, hey, you need to go do this, this, and this. So I was like, all right, cool. I went and did X, Y, and Z, right? And then it told me to go do A, B, and C. I did A and I did C, but I never could find out where B was. Tried to look up some YouTube videos on it and everything, like try to figure out how to like actually get started in EVE on. No. I said, forget it. And it was like, I did that for like 2 weeks trying to figure out where this stupid last objective was to complete my whole, just training. And I was like, forget it. I'm going to go play some other hard game to figure out. And so then that's when I got into Star Citizen. So I was like,
Was it too difficult, so you moved to DCS?
you know, judge me.
I gave up on DCS. That's why I'm saying that.
I did not go to DCS. Have not done that. But anyway, OG, first round of questions.
So with that game, so that's what kind of drew you to Star Citizen, as you said, with the the whole mining and salvaging and all that good stuff. So for those who are not familiar, could you explain what salvage gameplay kind of entails for Star Citizen? Like, what are some of the processes?
Yeah, so salvage gameplay involves finding destroyed ships. When I say destroyed, I don't mean like blown up into a million pieces.
Mhm.
I mean just kind of rendered inoperable.
Mm-hmm.
And going in and seeing what valuable items you can get off them, be that cargo, components, weapons, and lastly, what most people think of salvage is stripping materials off the hull.
Yeah.
And that'll give you an item called RMC.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Heck
Cool,
yeah.
cool. So, what types of salvageable materials could players find when doing these salvage contracts that are out there? And I guess by materials, I don't. There's only like usually like one type of hull right now, so I'm not necessarily talking about when you scrape it off the hull type deal, but like, isn't there other things that they can find instead of just a derelict ship floating somewhere that they can, scrape the hull off of? Isn't there other things that they can find?
At the moment, as far as the actual salvage mechanics go, it's just the RMC, which stands for
Right,
Recycled Material Composite.
right,
But further on down the line, they're going to be including hull munching. They've not announced what resource that will give you, but it
right.
might still be RMC or it might be a brand new resource. We'll only know once they
That'll be cool.
bring it out further.
And I
As far
know.
as
Yeah.
finding things, sorry, on you go.
No, no. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just going to say, as far as other than that, it's also just kind of finding things on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So, say like coolers, power plants, things like that. You can use a tractor tool to strip out. If it's a cargo ship you're salvaging, there'll often be some cargo in there, and that
Okay.
can be quite valuable. From the legal ones, you can often get, random minerals, sometimes gold or quantanium, which
Right.
is worth a pretty penny. For the illegal ones, you can sometimes find some drugs in there, and the volumes just depend on random dice rolls in the game. Pretty much, you might find a tiny amount. Very occasionally, you might hit the mother load.
Okay.
It just depends.
So is there a like mission ranking system? So once you do certain amount of missions for the salvage, do you get bigger and better ships to salvage as that progresses?
I am not entirely sure on that one at the moment.
Okay.
I think there is, but I'm not 100% that it is.
Yeah, it's a slight like rep style as far just like with the bunkers and the box missions and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff and whatnot. There are those. But the what is it? It's the mission called Wake of Disaster. Which is kind of like a PvPe event, I guess, so to speak, because you're going to a huge, basically like random battlefield that took place, and you get to salvage all the ships in the area. Well, so does any other player, and y'all can either just go, yeah, whatever, and leave each other alone, or somebody can roll in with a couple of fighters and start shooting at people. So, I mean,
My favorite.
yeah, I mean, it really depends on the people that take the mission. So, I mean, but there is tons of cargo in that ship, or ships, I should say, and there is a bunch of hull scraping to be done in that mission as well. So, lots of money to be made at Wake of Disaster. So,
That's pretty cool. See, I didn't know that you could find like actual cargo in these ships, like you would gold and drugs. That's pretty cool. I had no idea that was a thing.
yep, absolutely. There's also when Rimfire was talking about hull munching, there is eventually at some point, I don't know when, but I've heard them speak on it, is the different, so you'll have different manufacturers, as in like Anvil or Apoa. They use, because obviously we have alien ships and not alien ships, you'll have different like whole material, like whole composite material. Like Apoa would use something different style of material than Anvil would, and so that would generate a different type of RMC, I guess. So that may be coming in the future, and I think that's pretty cool. It'll give us maybe a different value or a different commodity or something like that for the non-existing
I think I may
economy
have
that's
cut out for a
currently.
second there.
Do what?
I think I may have cut out for a second there, so apologies if you asked me something and I didn't respond.
Nope, you're good. You're good.
Fine.
Yeah.
So I've got a off the head question because I just thought about it for both of you guys. What is something that you want to see in Salvage in the future? Like what is something that isn't currently in game or hasn't currently been kind of like that talked about? Is there anything that you guys are looking forward to?
I want to see a bit more depth to it, like mining has. At the moment,
Yeah.
it seems very kind of superficial with the hull scraping. I mean, you just sweep your beam across an area, and that's about it. Go grab boxes from the machine at the back.
Yeah.
The
I
space
want to see a bit
Dyson
more kind
vacuum
of
cleaner.
depth and still, yeah.
So yeah,
want
no,
to see a bit
I
more
agree.
space.
I feel you on that because when the Vulture came out, I picked it up, right? And I no longer have it now because I'm like, I don't even go out salvaging because one, with the Vulture, if you don't have a second person down in the hole removing the boxes, it gets rather tedious and it gets rather kind of annoying. At least with mining, you break the rock, you pick up the rock, and whether you're full or you pick up quantanium, whatever, you can bolt out and never get out of your chair if you're in a prospector. But with a Vulture, you literally, like, once you get 2 boxes filled, you have to get out of your seat,
Go down to the
go down to the cargo bay, move the boxes, reset the rig, go back up, get back in the seat, do it all over again. And that's rather, to me, I was like, this is so counterproductive. Like, this is annoying. And I get that it's in its early stages and it's eventually going to be a little bit more streamlined when it comes to that kind of stuff. And that would be great. But it's, I don't know. I like the idea of salvage. I just wish, even if you were rocking, because we went out in a reclaimer and we had a pilot, we had 2 salvage beam operators, and then I was down in the hole moving the boxes. And this is when salvage first came about. So that, like, I mean, in itself is kind of annoying that you have to have 4 people to operate one ship. I get it, but it's...
I would like to see another variant come out to where it can be operated with just one person,
It would be cool if... Okay, so hear me out. This isn't in production. This is just my personal idea that it's like, it would be cool. Okay, so you know how, like, in warehouses right now, they have these little cranes or whatever that are operated by a person, whether it be remotely or not, right? And it's on the top of it's in the ceiling, and it can come down and pick up a box and move it to some other part of the warehouse, right? I wish they had something like that was automated.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, you swap you hit a button in your pilot seat and it brings up a screen or whatever, and you can literally pick up the box and move it, right?
Like a remote turret or something.
Something of the sort, yeah. Especially like
inside. That'd be great.
Yeah, like it's inside, so you can literally just stay in your chair, move the box, and get back to salvaging. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, I think that would be cool. I don't know if that requires a lot of tech, but I think that would be pretty awesome.
I think that would be really cool.
I'd imagine if they do it with tractor beams, that would merge in with the tech they're already building.
Now,
That's true.
that is true. Yeah. Heck yeah. So let's start to dabble in a little bit of mining. Mining is another
Just before
significant.
we do that,
Yeah.
sorry, I was just thinking, as far as you said having a one-person craft, I think the Vulture is intended to be a one-person craft,
It is.
but until they kind of make that a bit slicker,
Yeah.
I'm with you. It doesn't feel like one when you fly it.
No, not at all.
And this is
Not
going
at
to
all.
relate to mining a wee bit as well, but it comes down to ship size, crew size, and reward at the end of it.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
this also relates to the prospector and the mole. But what I want to see is a multi-crew ship, the reward per person being higher than a single-person ship.
It should be.
And at the moment, I don't really see that
100%.
with either the mole prospector or in salvage with the vulture and reclaimer.
Yeah.
Because with the vulture, I think you can put the trawler heads on that instead, and you can I think you can salvage just as fast with the
Really?
well, the reclaimer can salvage I think twice as fast because it's got 2 operator seats than the vulture. If you've set the vulture up right, I mean, if you've got the trawler head on it.
I think the only bigger ship, better reward system there is right now is just cargo space for the most part. I think it works
Yeah,
for the
and-
mole and the reclaimer. I think that's the only main difference, just like you said, other than speeds. But
yeah.
I'm
Even
okay with waiting a
regardless
little bit
things,
longer.
it's not a huge. It's not a significantly different reward that
Yeah.
if you so how many people do you really need to have a reclaimer working efficiently? 4, 3 or 4 really. Um, I think you'd make more per hour with 4 people in vultures,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
and that to me that's a big drawback. That's gonna you need something pushing for a career path that this is the better way to do it. You should push towards this because you will make more per hour. It is
Exactly.
a more efficient
Yes.
way of doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they need
yes.
to, as it stands right now, regardless of what patch we're in. Well, currently we're in 321, but anyway, as it stands right now, it really, and maybe it's just because I don't do it enough, or we don't do it enough as an org. I don't feel like salvage and mining in a multi-crew aspect is really that overly more profitable than a solo. You know what I'm saying? Like it is more, but it's not like, oh my god, this is so much more. You know, it's not like there's a noticeable difference, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong. I mostly am sometimes, but regardless, that's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's once I see a clear definition of, okay, mining or salvaging multi-crew wise is way better because, like Rimfire was saying, it's way more efficient, and you see the actual benefits of multi-crew. Then it would probably be a little bit different story. But as of right now, I don't see the benefits of it. You know what I mean? Not in a grand scale of things. I'll put it that way.
Now this is just theory crafting here,
Mm-hmm.
but the other thing they might do is make something slightly worse in small ships in general. Be it range, be it like wear and tear,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, and that might help balance it out. If you're in a vulture, you might need to every 3 trips go back and get something fixed. Things breakages might happen more often, or they might just nerf the fuel tanks on it, something like that. But I think the better way to do it would be increasing rewards rather than making things more difficult for small ships, because that's going to be what you're typically, like, especially new players to the game are going to be starting off in smaller ships.
Exactly.
And you don't want to be reducing their player experience with it through mechanics like that.
Right. I
So I'm
completely
just
agree.
crossing my fingers.
I agree.
Out of the 2 ways they decide to go, I really hope it's the increased reward in the bigger ships.
Yeah. And something cool that would be neat if they implemented. Yeah, I said that right. So, we're definitely, I believe we're gonna get different kinds of hull materials so we can mine things like that. Well, let's say that the smallest ship can only mine this amount of that because of the weight of the material that it is. But yet, say the Reclaimer can mine it all day. Reclaimer's a big ship. It's got a great amount of thrust power behind it. It's able to carry that. You get more reward because that material would cost
You're talking
more.
about physics.
Yes. That would be cool if that was implemented in the future.
Yeah, that. So you remember watching CitizenCon with the whole Gladius on the water and all the
Exactly.
explosions and everything. So it's, I mean, that's not bad because you're talking about, like, you can only carry so much weight before your thrusters basically give out. I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
With certain
Kind of like being like over
mineable
encumbered
materials.
in a survival
Yes.
game or something. Yeah,
Exactly.
I like that.
You lose
That's cool.
maneuverability. You
Yeah.
can't get out of Atmo as fast type deal. That would be really cool.
Possibly
That'd be
burn
really
your
cool.
thrusters out and have to repair.
Cause damage. Oh yeah.
I like
But
that.
it's not in, so we can't talk about it.
I don't even know. That's a theory thing. That's just something that would be cool if it happened. Like that ain't nothing that we know
I
of this
do
coming.
love-
That would be
I do
neat.
a bit
though.
of theory crafting.
I love
Yeah.
theory crafting.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Heck yeah, that's my favorite thing to do with my clothes on.
just I know we want to stay on kind of topic and go through things, but I just got one last kind of bit of theory craft
Go
I
for
want to
it.
throw in
Go
there.
ahead.
So what I would really love to see is not having one big be all everything ship that can do everything as far as
Yeah.
profession goes. I'd like to see a big ship that can do one or two things really efficiently,
Mhm.
and with a big multi-crew ship kind of thing, like the Reclaimer. That's going to be your go-to for having a crew together, getting a good reward, getting a lot of salvage done quickly.
Exactly.
But I'd love to see a few niche ships that this can't do everything, but there's little thing here that only this one ship can get, and
Mhm.
maybe that's culture,
Yeah.
things like
Hey,
that, just to give a bit of variability to it, because you don't want it to be everyone and their dog just being like, oh, we all need reclaimers and that's the only thing we can use. You want to still have a use case for every ship.
Yeah.
the year is not over, and IE is coming up. We may get lucky. We may have something brand new come out, which I would
Mhm.
That's
be.
what I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you Captain Hopium.
That's fine with me. I bought a lottery ticket this morning. It was full on it. Didn't win nothing.
Captain
Not a
Hopium,
dollar.
not Doctor Hopium.
Professor. Sir.
Professor Hopium.
All right. So
Move
jumping
on.
into the mining of this game, which I am a huge fan of. Enjoy
Yeah,
mining all the time. So, Rim, can you give us kind of like a overview on how mining works in Star Citizen?
yep. So there are a few different kinds of mining.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start off with hand mining, and the mechanics are fairly similar for all of them. But hand mining is you're on foot, you have your trusty Grey Cat multi tool with you, with a mining attachment, and you go looking for rocks that have gems in them.
Yeah.
And you blast those rocks with a laser until they heat up and they explode, and you can pick up the gems that are inside. Now, there's a bit more depth to it than that. You need to put a specific amount of energy in, enough to make it crack, but not enough that it blows up in your face and hurts you. So you need to
Mm-hmm.
keep your the energy dialed in with your mouse wheel or whatever
Yeah.
OG
tool you're
knows about
using
that.
Yes, I
into a
do.
specific range and not overheat it. Um, and that's the basics of all mining.
Yeah, pretty much.
Um,
All the way from
whether
hand all the way up
you're
to big stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, all the way up to
when
the
you do get
mole.
to bigger stuff, there's a few other things to throw in there. So there's mining gadgets that we have as well for when you're using either any kind of vehicle-based mining, be that a rock, ground vehicle, or a ship, and that lets you add some modifiers to the rock. So it'll
Yeah.
change, how hard it is to crack, or how big if the materials kind of stay together when it cracks, and
Instability,
that kind of thing.
resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. All that stuff.
and there's several ways around that. One way is to, if you're in a prospector, you might not be able to crack it on your own. You pop a mining gadget on, that might help enough to let you crack it. Or you might have a group of 3 prospectors, and that might let you do it. You might come in a mole with several people in there. So I think that's just to touch on what we said earlier, I think that's a great way to change the reward
Yeah.
element for
Yeah.
number of crew. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here a little bit, so
Go for it.
if I'm going too far.
Oh, yeah, no,
You
we're
go
good.
for it. I'm gonna. You keep going off on this tangent. And I'm gonna go refill my coffee cup.
Are you sure he doesn't want some coffee as well? He is looking a little bit catatonic there.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah,
He's
it's
been.
because I get him right behind the ears, and he doesn't want me to stop after that, and he gets like this look on his face.
I was gonna say he was chewing. I was laughing earlier because he was chewing on your arm.
Oh, he was chewing on my bracelet, man, and I was afraid he was gonna snap it in half or something. But they're like stone beads on here too, so I was like,
Beads
man,
go everywhere.
I was just like, where
He's
did?
more worried about breaking his teeth.
Yeah, well, that too. Good lord, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, go off on your tangent, man. I'm gonna go get some coffee while you're doing that. Y'all keep going.
Sure.
Okay.
Where was I? Yeah, so the reward element. So if you have more people there, be it in a mole or in several prospectors, again, that's increasing the size of rock you can crack. If it's like a big quant rock,
Yeah.
you're all gonna really make bank on that.
Oh yeah. I didn't realize how big the rocks get as far as when it comes to, mining in the prospector or the mole. I didn't realize there was rocks out there with 30,000, 40,000, and 50,000 mass, if not more. And we were struggling with the mole. We could not. Me and Vintage were mining not too long ago, and we were just struggling. We could not get these rocks to break. When we did get them the power to come up, it could have been bugging the game, but I didn't realize how difficult it can be.
It.
Oh, yeah.
So with the new additions to mining, they have really increased. I'm gonna say preparedness.
Yeah.
The amount of preparation that it goes, okay, we are specifically going after 1 to 2 types of rocks. Because before you could go out and you lance at MH2, like, hey, we're going for quant, but if we find something else that may be kind of valuable, we can snag that too. No big deal. Like, you hit and you just go out and do whatever. You could solo the mole very easily. You ain't doing that no more. Because these rocks now are random at best, right? And I got something in my eye.
Yeah, your finger.
And you probably shouldn't put your finger in your eye,
Anyway, so you and now it's like, okay, so I have barrel bexolite or whatever it's called and tannerite or whatever, and like that may not even be like a common mixture of materials in a rock, but I'm just giving you that as an example. And then a couple 100 meters away, you got gold and beryl or quartz or something, like, and it's each one of those have a different instability, a different resistance, and you have to gauge what your actual mining head can do. And if you have on, let's just say, a Klein size 2 on the mole, and it'll work really well with something that's gold, but it doesn't work really well with like tannerite or laranite. I keep saying tannerite, but it's and it so you have 3 laser heads that can set you up for a good multiple scenarios, but I don't think it's really going to cover all your bases.
Yeah.
And then you have gadgets on top of that, and then you have modules that you can put on the mining heads as well. I mean, it's you have all these different possibilities, and it goes from simplistic to complicated really quick.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it you had to be prepared, and I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's just for some people it may not be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I think that's a kind of for now thing, because once you get the removable saddlebag, etc.
Yep.
Going back to port for dropping off your cargo isn't going to be so much of a thing, unless you're solo, that is.
Yeah.
But if you've got a cargo ship coming to pick them up, that can also have your spare mining heads in it. Just jump out with the multi-tool, you can switch heads.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
That's gonna
But then
be...
again, that's a good part of, if you've got several people together, you're doing it, multi-crew or multi-people together, you're increasing your reward through having that extra capability there with that extra person there doing your hauling.
Yep.
It's increasing your efficiency by both having to go back and forth and also keeping you properly equipped for whatever you come across.
Yes, I agree. And the amount of multi-crew aspects coming into the game are going to be huge. And they keep saying, like, oh, you can still solo. And I'm like, you ain't going to do much solo.
I think everything is leaning towards doing it with your buddies type thing, like, because bunkers, for instance, now you ain't doing it by yourself.
Oh,
You're not
man.
doing it by yourself. Unless you are extremely good, you are not doing it by yourself.
If the actual server FPS rate is actually pretty high,
Is on
like
point?
above,
Yeah.
they're on point. But anyway, so like all the different aspects, even just going out into the verse, like we got Pyro that may be coming out at some point within the next year or so, according to what Citizen Con said. I'm not going to say it'll be out the next year, but we'll see what happens, right? You know, because we never know. But you put a new player in that kind of environment where there's no law system, they're not going to survive, and they're going to end up getting eaten alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So that's going to be a learning experience.
absolutely, it's going to be a learning experience even for some veteran players. You know what I mean? That are still somewhat solo. They're going to be like, man, I need help. You know?
H-E-L-P, help me.
Yeah, something like that. So I really feel like the game's overall mechanics, especially when it comes to like industrial gameplay, is going to lean more towards multi-crew, like having more than one person on your ship and helping you out. I really feel like it's drastically heading in that direction to where it's going to be better for all the players involved if they have, multiple people on the ship type deal. So
Yeah. I don't know if like having lawless areas is going to be a driver for that though, because just to liken this back to EVE Online, which again, there's lawless areas there as well,
right.
and as a new player, you can go straight into those if you so want.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know any better, and if you're a new player, you probably don't. But the only thing they have there to dissuade you is when you try and go into a lawless area, a wee pop-up will come up saying, "This is a low security area. Are you sure you want to go here?" And if you click yes and you go through, you get ganked. Again, if you see that message pop up, stay away.
Exactly.
So that's all they need in there is something like that, and then you've got your new players covered.
That's kind of what they do, because with the pyro jump point, it says warning entering the pyro system, like big red like warning signs all over the place, right? But with Terra and Magnus, they don't have those.
Yeah.
They don't have any kind of like signage out, saying warning entering Magnus. They don't have none of that. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like their way of doing things, because CR, I guess, obviously doesn't want pop-ups in the game, loading screens, that kind of stuff and whatnot, because the only thing we really have is markers, that, which is like an AR style. So, but anyway, where are we at?
My turn.
Go for it.
So, Rim, what kinds of I know we talked a little bit about the different resources and minables and things there are, but what are some of the main ones that you like and like to use, and how can these resources affect the game's economy, and progression?
So,
like, is there a tier based resource that can cost this much or does this much, and if a bunch of people in game mine it, does that cost drop type deal?
So I think there's enough kind of rocks. Well, when it comes to mining, I think I'm going to focus on that, because with salvage, there's always kind of salvage missions up, and it's the same kind of salvage.
Yeah,
you really get off them for the most part.
yeah.
I kind of count salvaging and kind of stripping the cargo and the components off is slightly different in my head, but that's just me.
Right.
But there's enough kind of there that there's always something, and it's the same kind of things you're going to get off everything, and with either the only difference really being if it's criminal or legal. I suppose another big difference between them is if it's like a single-seater fighter or if it has a cargo grid on it, because obviously if there's no cargo grid, you can't get cargo apart from components and weapons. And components and weapons don't seem like, I don't really think you can sell those at the moment unless they've changed that recently.
I
you guys know if you can sell them?
So I'm pretty sure it has to be at a shop that
Yeah.
sells the same component or weapon
Yeah.
itself. Because it's the same way with the armor and clothing or anything else in the game, weapon wise. Like they'll buy it, but you ain't getting anything for it. So they'll take a donation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you'll get 0 credits. But if you go to a spot that sells that specific type, then they will purchase it for an actual amount of AUEC. And just like every other game, they're going to give you way less than what it's worth, and then sell it for a ridiculous markup. Kind of like what happens in the real world today.
Yeah.
Right.
I've not really tried it in a while because the margins have been so slim before, or just non-existent before.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the reward is a bit better for it, but it just seems like a lot of hassle to go to either Cotton Crows or Platinum Bay just to sell your components.
The only benefit now when grabbing components and weapons is to swap them out on your own ship.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
and you never know what you're going to find. You know, it just seems like such a load of tedium at the moment to go and mouse over every weapon. Is this what I want? Is this what I want? What's this cooler? What's this? And having to go around and find them all.
Yeah.
But if depending how much money got you, that might be a good way to get an upgrade. But it just depends how much time you want to put in it and how much time you think it would take you to make that much money through other routes instead.
Yeah.
And personally, I think that the cost of a new quantum drive or a power plant or whatever, you'd be quicker just trying to make the money and buy it than crossing your fingers and hoping you'll find it.
Like if you're trying to be like,
yeah,
if you're trying to be like an IRL penny pincher or something like that, I could totally see somebody just going like, oh, I'll just wait till I come across a Jaeger or an XL1 or something like that, and then I could totally see that happening, especially like upon the game's release or something like that, because the whole like credits per hour thing can change. Because I always watch these YouTube videos like, oh, make 1 million credits in an hour, whatever kind of thing. And yeah, it's cool to know and it's cool to find out, but come the actual release of the game, like years down the road, whenever that is, that could be completely different. And you wouldn't even know. Like, it could be something, you go and do a bunker and you're now getting like 2K starting off. You know what I'm saying? Like the credits per hour could dip so much just because there's so much other things to do that need to be more profitable, that they had to bring the overall starting things down. So, I mean, again, theory crafting again with that, but I mean,
come back to what? Sorry, keep going.
No, I was done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That brings me back to what I was saying earlier about kind of the benefits of multi-crew. So I'm hoping when it comes out, we're in an org that I hope we're going to be able to kind of focus on, let's start making money, let's get a group of people together for this activity,
Right.
Make more per hour each together than we would separately to hopefully put ourselves a bit ahead of the curve on launch.
Right.
I'm just thinking once it comes out, I'm booking 2 weeks off work and just slamming that.
I can't wait till I get some more vacation from work.
Can we
You'll get that before Star Citizen comes out fully.
Oh, I know. I get it refilled at the beginning of the year. I can't wait. I get 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a break?
Yes.
Okay.
Just quickly. I got to pee like a Russian racehorse and a Kentucky Derby behind a glue truck.
I don't know why he goes through all that.
I don't know.
So we're back from our break, and we're going to pick up where we left off, and Roomfire is going to kick us going again.
So I think we finished up on kind of mining mechanics and mining gadgets versus kind of multi-crew, multi-people together.
Right.
So I think that kind of covers it for mining mechanics. It's fairly different from salvage mechanics. I'd say that the actual salvaging mechanic, the hull scraping anyway, is still in its infancy. It's just kind of hoovering up what you can see, and that's about it. It's relaxing, but I don't think it's nearly as in depth as mining, and I'd love to see that same depth of gameplay come to salvage as well. I do know we've still got hull munching on the horizon, where rather than just eating up the outer skin of a ship, you're actually munching the structure as well.
Do you think that's going to add to the complexity of salvage in that aspect when, like, so you're in your reclaimer and you actually have to use that big claw to actually munch down bigger parts of the ship, do you think like that's going to change any part of the complexity?
I think so. I think now this is just again theory crafting because that's all we can do at
Right.
this stage. I think it's going to be a case of splitting the ship into smaller chunks and munching up those chunks.
Right.
I know they've also talked about like a large probe for the reclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Oh no, they called it the cutter in some of the info about it. But obviously, the cutter is now a ship with a completely different purpose. So I
Right.
guess they're going to rename that.
It's my
Well, I
favorite
hope
little
they will
ship.
stop confusion, or either that, or they just thought to take it out completely. But that it'll be interesting to see what becomes of that. If it's going to be
Yeah.
a change of plan, or if they're going to actually implement it.
I don't think that
I
they
would-
would leave it where it's at right now because just like you said,
No, they
it
can't.
is still bare bones at the moment. There is only so
Yeah.
much you can do with it,
Yeah.
but it has the potential to be something extreme and really in depth and just a blast to do. It's already relaxing, other than you got your pirates you're worried about coming to get your things, but yeah.
I would
So I'm hoping. When you go, sorry.
I was gonna say, I was like, I'm kind of hoping, like, I think a way that they could add to the complexity of salvaging right now is when you first encounter a ship, like, and let's just say that it took some heavy damage or whatever the case is, but for majority of the part, the hull, the husk, whatever you want to call it, it is fairly well intact. And so, like, let's just, for sake of argument, you have a big 890, right? You're not going to take that claw and hit it in a certain part and then it all just kind of split apart. Like, I think that would be stupid. I think, like, you need to know where structural wise, like through like a scan or something like that, you see, okay, this is a structural weak point now because of what happened to the ship. And so you're
Yeah.
going to hit it there and it's going to break off a piece, but the other side of that husk is going to still be intact because you only hit it in a certain spot and now only this piece is falling off, right? And so you literally have to break it up like you do on mining with rocks, right? Because, but
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? And then I think another cool factor that they could do, which I highly doubt that they're going to see this, but if you're listening, I think another thing would be to add like certain different materials of metal that have different densities. So like with your bigger industrial ships, like let's just say you found a derelict mole, right? It's an industrial type ship, so its hull is going to be beefier, right? So it's going to be a little bit thicker. It's going to have a higher density of metal. Or you have a combat frigate or something like that. It's going to have hull plating or hull armor, right?
Yeah.
So it would have even a much higher density compared to like something like, oh, I don't know, a cargo vessel, small cargo vessel, or like an MSR. It's going to have a lower density metal, and you have to change the I guess the salvage heat propagation or whatever of some sort to actually be able to scrape appropriately amounts of the metal. You know what I'm saying? And really change up how you salvage compared to, oh, it's a ship, let me turn my beam on and just, you know what I'm saying? Because that's all it is right now. But I think if they add some sort of other complexity, which I'm sure they're going to do, is just a matter of what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. So, to be completely honest. But anyway, so
I think that there might be some other bits in there too. I think they're also going to have like draining fluids and ammo as well, stuff like that. Siphon off the quantum fuel, siphon off the hydrogen fuel.
I would be cool with
never
that.
even thought about that.
That would
Also,
be cool.
like
That
if you're
would
going
be
to start
cool.
munching a ship. Sorry, only I didn't mean to interrupt you there,
No.
OG.
No, go ahead. I'm intrigued.
Also, I think what happens if a ship takes too much damage? It's going to explode. Isn't munching it going to be damaging it? What are you going to do to stop it exploding while you're doing that? Surely you to deactivate or remove whatever is inside it that would potentially be explosive.
Like make it a safe work environment, basically, is what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Before
That's
you go,
cool.
they're ripping it to pieces. Yeah.
And they've not said anything about that. I think they've talked about like draining fluids, etc. But they've not talked about making it safe first. But that would be a cool part of it, I think. You know,
Yeah.
having to EVA over it and make it safe before you continue. You know,
I
drain
like
it of
that
power
idea.
and everything
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
You
I
imagine
like that idea.
salvaging an Idris or
Yeah.
something with the big boom that those make. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, your ship would be destroyed basically,
Yeah.
or in pretty bad shape.
And that also gives you a similar kind of danger to what you've got mining at the moment. You know, if you
Yeah.
overcharge a rock and it exploding.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, trying to add the depth of gameplay to make salvage and mining fairly similar, complexity-wise, I think that would be a good shout for them. You know,
Yeah.
again, if you're listening.
Hear my call.
So
So I might have missed off half of question 6 before the break. I think that might have been what we're on, by the way.
the progression. Oh yeah, the economy and everything. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so we don't really have much of an economy though, as it stands right now. Like I know
Yeah.
there's a small bit of it, which you will see different prices in repair and fuel from station to stations. I know that's in. And then they're toying around right now when they added the jump points, the 3 new jump points, and the whole sea. But the kicker, the whole sea has an issue when it's loaded and docking and undocking and stuff like that from what I hear. I don't have a whole
I think
sea.
they fixed that.
Do what?
I think they fixed that now.
Did they? Okay. That's
I've been playing
great.
on the whole sea,
I
but-
hope they did because, I mean,
it's still a bit buggy, but it's less buggy than it was.
yeah. I mean, Star Citizen's
That's
buggy in
In a
general.
nutshell.
Yeah, exactly. But, and so I know they're toying around with the economy in certain areas, trying, I guess, to either perfect it, debug it, whatever they're doing. I know that they're messing with it, so I know there's a bit of economy there and here and there. But so going on Theorycraft and Rimfire, how much of an impact would you say salvage and mining could have on the economy when Quanta is actually fully fledged, or at least out of, I don't know, a tier -1 state that it's in, because it's not even really fully like tier 0 implemented, right? Like,
Yeah.
how much of an impact do you think later down the road that those kind of industry gameplays are really going to have on Star Citizen as a whole, like later down the road?
Oh, enormous. I think the economy is going to be one of the biggest driving things in the game. I mean, at the end of the day, the game is going to revolve around money.
Right.
And I think that what's going to be bigger than how much you make off missions is going to be what do you have to sell at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No matter what the item is, that supply and demand effect and that affecting price is going to always push what activities people are doing in that area. And like big events happen, if there's kind of big fleet battles happening somewhere, that's going to push the price of RMC through the roof because everyone's going to be wanting to repair things.
Yeah.
If that's going to be, if they're going to have, depending how they implement Quanta, if they're going to, people are going to be claiming ships, maybe that area is going to be manufacturing more ships. So your minerals are going to be through the roof for that. You know,
That'd be
whatever the
cool.
specific materials for manufacturing ships are. I don't believe players are going to be able to manufacture ships. Ooh. Do tell.
So, towards the end of CitizenCon that just happened here recently, they talked about blueprints.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
Did you see that panel?
I did, but it just must have slipped my mind.
So that was for me. Okay, now the thing that they showed on the panel video was the grip for like a weapon. And I don't know if you noticed what the grip looked like, but the grip looked like something that increased the handling of a weapon. And I'm really hoping that we have ways to, okay, we want to craft an FS9, right? But we want a beefier grip for our gun and a beefier stock for our gun that allows us to control the recoil deviation of that weapon. You know what I'm saying? And so we bring down that. Okay, so there's that, right? But then they also talked about tiered rewards, and people are kind of speculating that we may actually get blueprints for ships that instead of claiming it on insurance type deal, we're able to just craft a new one. But is the crafting that we do, because we have a blueprint, let's just say we got a blueprint for a Gladius, right? Just for sake of argument. Is the quality of a store-bought Gladius going to be the same as a crafted Gladius because of
Not if
difference
I
of
put each
materials?
Based on
Based on
I believe
materials.
so, based on things we've seen so far. Yeah, based on materials. So my hopes are that a store-bought Gladius will be in the middle. And depending on the materials, you can make either like a bare bones, okay, this is now a glass cannon, it will do, but not too well. Or
Right.
you can really go absolute all out and give it super duper materials. It might be 4 times as expensive, but maybe twice as good. I mean, I want to see that as a kind of not a
Progression.
straight line relationship. I want to see that as an exponential
Yeah.
cost versus benefit.
Yeah.
So, you get benefit along the bottom and cost along the up and down.
Yeah.
So that people will absolutely pay through the nose for a little bit more performance.
And then
And if
imagine
you're
how
an
you,
industrial player, that's going to make your money. That's going to be the core. People wanting the absolute bleeding edge, because there are going to be people out there like that.
yeah.
I'm sure there will be. That's
Yeah.
what that's going to make you so much bank.
And imagine how you could sell that ship. If that ever comes about, if you could actually sell, you have the blueprint and you can make the ship better than what you can buy it in store. Imagine the markup that you could make off of that because you went out and gathered the materials. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Science gameplay as well. Sciencing the blueprints will probably improve them.
yeah. Oh man, so much stuff. All right, so we're gonna move on. So both salvage and mining involve interacting with various objects in the game. Could you walk us through the mechanics of salvage and mining in a valuable resource? Which we just went over that just a minute ago before the break, didn't we? I
Yeah.
just realized what I was saying as I went over
I've
it.
been looking through. We went over a lot of these already.
Have we really?
Yeah.
Just in our that's fine, whatever. I know what we haven't done is how does player skill and decision making come into play when engaging in salvage and mining? That we have not gone over. We might have slightly touched on it because I did say something about preparation, but could we go into a little bit further on that?
Oh, of course we can. But player skill and mining, your biggest thing is going to be: are you going to blow this rock up in your face or just crack it? And as you learn and your skill improves, you're going to do that less. I mean, you can also use mining gadgets to reduce how likely it is to detonate in your face.
Right.
Yeah.
But things now come with experience and skill. As far as that decision making goes, it's going to be really similar to a lot of other Star Citizen. Is who around you, what are the risks around you apart from just the activity you're doing? Is there, a couple of, combat rated ships sitting just beside what you're doing, getting ready to gank you as soon as, you're finished to loot your cargo?
Right.
Um,
So is what you're saying do you think an experienced player is going to have like a security escort versus a kind of newish person's not going to have that?
Well, as far as salvage goes, when you were mentioning that mission earlier, that you're salvaging the remnants of a fleet battle, and there's several people there as well, I think you would be very foolish not to go there without an escort. Because if you're there in a vulture, you only need one person there in a gladius to ruin your day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or something similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you could probably get away eventually, but you'd be in some really you'd be smoking on the way home.
Also, you're sitting there stationary, or almost stationary, salvaging. You're a prime target for a missile.
And you're not paying attention that much to your surroundings for the most part because you're paying attention on salvaging or mining that rock.
Imagine
Especially
if you got
stood
missile
up.
locked while getting out of your seat
Yeah,
to go
exactly.
move
You've
the
stood up.
box.
Yeah, you stood up to go do that. Someone's watching you for those salvage beams going off.
Yeah.
And as soon as they see them go off, they wait 5 seconds, and then they target you and
And they send one out. Yeah. Or
send one
four
out.
out.
And you're caught.
Dude.
But then again, if you get hit by a missile and killed by a missile, I don't think that soft deaths you. I think that makes you explode, which will make it harder to loot your cargo.
Mm-hmm. If you can get back.
Yeah. But then, even without the missile, if you're not in the pilot seat and someone opens up, it's not going to take long before you're
Before it's gone,
you're
yeah.
gonna shit out of luck with it, innit?
Yeah.
Man, that never even crossed my mind before.
But then again, we're getting back to what I keep to be banging the old drum about is, single versus several people together. If you've got someone in the back of it, again, that's the benefit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that was basically touching on the next question is Star Citizen is known for multiplayer and cooperative gameplay. How does salvage and mining activities encourage or require players to work together? That basically was your answer right there.
Yeah.
Was not just necessarily in the ship itself, but also in other ships providing security. So I mean there's multiple ways to that. So it's just man, it's good stuff. But
It is.
OG.
So Rem, are there any notable player-driven stories or experiences you've had related to salvage and mining interactions with other players?
I'll be honest, most of them involve reclaimers and trying to land planet side.
Yeah.
For some reason, well, in my experience anyway, the reclaimer just seems to take random damage, and the thrust output seems to lower after you've been out salvaging.
Really?
This is just anecdotal rather than something that I know for sure. It's not something I've seen anyone else post about. But I know when you take off, you previously anyway. I know they've changed flight mechanics recently. But you take up out of atmosphere and got just enough thrust to kind of get out of there. But when you're coming back, you just don't seem to have enough thrust to stay in the air, and you're just kind of relying on your boost to stay airborne. Because without it, you just start sinking, and eventually you run a boost, and there's not much you can do.
I've noticed that. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, especially in the reclaimer, like I bought an 890 in game, and I don't have that problem. Like, I can lift off or I can come back. Excuse me. And as long as I actually stop the ship with the 890 anyway, it'll hover. Like it's especially like if I don't have decoupled on. If I don't have decoupled mode on, we're good, right? And it'll just sit there and hover. With the reclaimer that I have flown before, doesn't matter. I could have that thing in VTOL mode, and I'm waiting for the hangar to open, and I notice I'm starting to fall down. I'm like, why am I losing altitude? Like, I should not be losing altitude. And it's like you have to constantly keep adjusting your height. And I'm like, I don't know what it's just it's a big boy.
I wonder if it's the weight of the cargo.
Huh?
I wonder if it's the weight of the cargo.
And I don't honestly. I don't think it is because I don't think those part of the physics are even in the game yet. I really don't.
That would be cool.
It would be cool,
I
but
think my favorite. Yeah.
Go ahead.
On you go.
Nah,
Yeah. I think my favorite story. I think I was salvaging with you actually, Ben.
probably. I think that's when it was.
Day of it, and was coming into land, and it just got into the hangar, and I couldn't maintain altitude. It clipped the side of the hangar and soft deathed. I
remember.
I was so pissed. Oh my god, I was in the foulest of moods.
Oh, dude,
I think I had quite a few choice words down comms to you, wasn't it?
dude, it was.
Oh.
Oh man, that was a bad day. I mean, it's. I remember that to a little bit of a degree, and that may have been one of the times that we were going out, and I was actually flying at that point, and I was like, man, screw this ship, I don't want to fly it no more, and I just let you take over.
But the reason that's one of my favorite ones is because I thought, it sucked, but it was also kind of funny. But
Right.
then what also made it funny is because it's soft in the hangar, I was able to then still sell the cargo.
Oh, were you?
Some money for it. Yeah, I think I
Thank
was able to
God.
store the ship like that and then sell the cargo, and I thought that was just hilarious. But this is the amount of pissed off in my head when it happened.
bet.
When I went to store it, then I went to the terminal to sell it. I was like grumble, 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 grumble. Grumble going to the terminal, grumble, grumble, grumble.
Oh
So
my goodness.
one of our next questions was one that we also talked about,
Mhm.
which was in-game economies can be complex and interconnected. How does salvage and mining contribute to the overall economy of Star Citizen? Which we touched on what the future would hold for that. We didn't necessarily touch on it currently because there's not anything going on with that, but we definitely did kind of theory craft the amount of complexity it could have in the future, which was great.
Yeah.
So,
So I think this bit's a little bit theory crafty.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's what I like to call the circle of life.
That's the truth.
Yeah. So you've got your RMC, you've got your minerals. Those are used to not only build new ships, but also, I believe, repair. Because I think the repair mechanics are going to be a little bit more involved than just squirting RMC on it.
Right.
And it's gonna give you. Oh, they've confirmed that that's going to give you different qualities of repair,
Yep.
which is why I'm taking from that hopefully when we build ships, that's going to give us different quality of ships too. So
Yeah.
that might be a similar mechanic. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so that feeds into it, and there could be more demand for that if there's activity going on that needs it, and that gets used to build more ships. More ships go fight more ships, and it's again more demand for the materials. You make ships to fight ships, then they need repaired and replaced, so you need more materials again. It just keeps going round in a circle, and the reason it's a circle is because you then salvage those ships that have been destroyed to make more ships again.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. And that huge. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I had a brain fart there, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. Oh man. Oh.
Okay.
OG 13.
Some players, I was remembering. Thank you. Some players enjoy role playing as salvagers or miners. Rim, how do these gameplay elements cater to the players, who want to immerse themselves in these roles?
With current gameplay mechanics is the first. Hang on. So with current gameplay mechanics is what we're going to talk about on the first half of this question, and then on the second half we're going to theory craft it for what the future would hold. So let's start with the first half, and then we'll bounce into the second half because this question. All right, for one, I like immersion. Okay, I'm one of those people that loves immersion. But this, as it stands right now, it's not a complex thing, but it can be. And so I want to make sure that we note that the first half of this is what we're talking about with current in-game mechanics, and then we'll move it to the future of it. So anyway,
I think I'm going to give it a controversial answer to this.
Go for it.
But I think it's not something specific to salvaging and mining. I think it starts as in general, because I don't think there's anything special about salvaging or mining that lends itself to like role playing more or less so than other areas of the game.
Yeah.
I think that in general you can kind of role play as whatever profession you want just as effectively, and that's not profession based.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be the same as but I think it's going to be easier as they bring more things to it, and things are more kind of interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have more. We've got this requirement or this has happened, which means we've got this requirement, so we need you to go do this job.
Okay.
But I think that's going to be fairly minor as far as lending itself to role playing and immersion.
Yeah.
I think just the fact you're sitting there in the ship and you've got very kind of, oh, what's the word? You've got very kind of detailed controls of your ship. I
Right.
think that adds into immersion rather than the specific mechanics of mining or salvaging.
Yeah.
It makes you kind of feel like you're there because you've got that kind of intricate control of all things on your ship.
Right. Now, how do you think later in the future that is going to change the immersion or roleplay aspect of things?
I don't think that it will change that much for salvaging and mining, but I
Really?
think the engineering gameplay is going to bring a whole lot more immersion to it.
Yeah.
Were you there for the panel? Well, not there, but like, did you watch the panel when they were talking about cargo gameplay and allowing when they get these contracts and stuff like that, that these people were going to start getting, like, they had a list of companies?
The loading and unloading and how that might happen.
No, they were talking about the companies and missions that you could run for, right? So these were like different companies. Like, we're gonna use IRL terms here, okay? Because I can't remember the names of the companies in game, but you got like FedEx, UPS, DHL, USPS, United States Postal Service, like all these different companies, right? You can run a cargo mission with them, and then you start getting reputation with that. So they were talking about reputation is basically what they were talking about, but as your reputation gains, you get actual in-game rewards, whether it be clothing, paint jobs for your ships, little like challenge coins or trophies or things like that. Do you think something like that in like the salvage or mining aspect would have a more immersive feel for like the people that are wanting to RP as an industrial person? Like, you don't think that would have more of an impact for those?
I think it would, but I don't think the impact is nearly as much as like the general day-to-day gameplay you have in game. The fact that you're immersed in the environment you're in. I mean, it's nice to say, yeah, role players, yes, I'm an employee of UPS, I've got the uniform, I've got
Right.
this, employee commendation on the wall of my ship up beside my bed. That's great. That does help. It really it does kind of suck you into the role a bit more.
Right.
But just having that, your general Star Citizen immersion in there, I think, is what really gives us its main kind of punch to the roleplay side of it.
Okay.
Me likey.
So we're gonna skip over 14 OG.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yep. Are there any upcoming features or developments related to salvage and mining that you're particularly excited about? Or, yeah, we'll stick with that.
Yeah.
Are there any upcoming
So-
features?
With Salvage, the big one's going to be hull munching and just seeing what shape that takes.
Mhm.
And then we discussed about the fluid draining, the making
Yep.
things safe, all that. It just depends very much how they implement it. I mean, we know we're going to be able to siphon off the fuels and take the components out and reuse them, but as I say, it just depends on exactly how they implement it. I'm really excited to see what they do.
So
Was that
about
a
the
finger
fuel,
up to try and-
huh?
Yeah.
So about the
Say again,
fuel.
sorry?
So about the fuel, do you think that you're gonna have to use the Starfarer to hook up to the ship and actually, or do you think the salvaging ships would have that capability?
I'm kind of 50-50 because I believe that the Vulture is going to be able to do some hull munching. And if
Yes,
it's
it will.
designed as a single person ship, you're kind of wanting it to be able to accomplish that on its own for new players starting the profession. And if you're going to make fuel volatile and it's going to potentially make it explode if you try and munch it with it on board, then you're going to need a way for that to be able to suck it out and deal with it
Mm-hmm.
in order for that profession to work.
I gotcha. Okay.
But on the other hand, having another ship come out to do that job, especially if there's a lot of ships there, getting this there to come and empty them, that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
With the quantum fuel and price it is, that's going to be potentially quite lucrative.
Yeah. Even just running around in a Starfarer and finding the ships and just draining the fuel out.
I don't know if you ever tried to fill up a tank on the Starfarer with Quantanium, but damn, that's expensive. Yeah. And it just feels like you're running around with a hauler full of like incredibly valuable cargo that might disappear any second, so it's also very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for Salvage, that's the big thing that I'm excited about launching. For mining, it's the new mining ships they're going to be bringing in. I mean, we already know about the Orion.
Yep.
And then this unknown ship, I think, from RSI.
Yeah, so kind of like a ship size in between the Mole and the Orion is supposed to be some RSI ship that the players voted on in 2022. I think it was during IAE or CitizenCon, one of the two.
Yeah.
And we haven't heard anything about it since then, though, right? So but I think they brought it up actually at CitizenCon this year at some point about, like, very briefly and just in passing, like no big deal kind of thing. Like they just kind of mentioned, like, oh yeah, then we still got this one ship that y'all voted on that we still got to do or whatever. So I have heard very little info on it, and I'm not gonna lie, like I haven't really delved into it. Like I voted for the RSI ship, I think, for an RSI version of it because we didn't have an RSI industrial ship. And now that I think about it, I'm like, well, we don't need an RSI, industrial ship. We should use something that is more, towards that kind of market because RSI isn't really in that kind of market. But neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
I think what.
On you go, Toji. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, after you, honestly.
Okay.
Okay.
So what I think, something that I'm excited to see that isn't necessarily for salvage and mining, but it is going to coincide with them, is the persistent hangers that they talked about in CitizenCon. Reason being, let's say that I'm in my vulture, right? I'm salvaging, in the middle of salvaging a hammerhead, right? Well, I know I'm not going to be able to fill that up or completely finish mining that or salvaging that hammerhead with the vulture. So I can make a pit stop to my persistent hanger, drop my cargo off, this, that, and the other. Let's say cargo prices change in the future, for different metals that you get from it and all that. Well, I can store that in my persistent hanger until I can get to another area to where, hey, I can sell it for a lot more here at this area rather than where it's at right now. So I can just make a quick drop it off, and go right back out. And plus, if I have the mining vehicles, that's going to be a lot easier instead of having to go to a pad to get everything now.
Yeah.
If I'm doing, so I think I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I think that's really something that's in terms of the economy. Like, if the price is low on something, then people are going to just hoard it rather than selling it. And then the supply is going to drop, so the price is going to trend back up, and that's going to be kind of a stabilizing factor to it.
Yep. I like the fact too. Now that you brought that up, is if you do find a ship just randomly out in the verse, and it's a big one, you can now drop a pin on it.
Oh,
not currently in game, but like that's coming.
Yeah.
Like, let me clarify that real quick for anybody who may be listening in the future or whatever. As it stands as of today, which is October 28th or whatever. you will eventually get to the point when the new star map comes out that you can drop a pin.
Yeah.
So, little disclaimer there, real quick.
Gonna be bananas.
Yeah. But
Also, I
yeah.
wanted to. Sorry, let me go.
nope. Go ahead. I was moving on, but go ahead if you
I
got.
was, I was going to take us back a question just for a second when
Okay.
we're talking about the siphoning fuels off.
Hmm.
The other thing to remember is not just going to be the Starfarer. It's potentially going to be the Vulcan as well when that's in game. They'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's a much
Oh, I forgot about
smaller
that one.
and
Yeah.
like a lower entry barrier due to cost ship for new players to get as well. And that's one of my ships I'm most excited about. Full stop in the game
Yeah.
so far. Oh god, yeah.
Heck
But that
yeah.
is
Isn't it
probably
like
for a later
rearm and
podcast.
repair?
Rearm, repair, refuel.
So it does all three.
Yeah.
Oh, well, nice.
Oh wow.
Does the
Via drones.
the Crucible is just rearm and repair? Is it it doesn't have refuel, right? Or does it also?
I think if you've got something landed in the hangar, I think it can refuel as well.
Okay. Okay.
But its primary focus is going to be repair.
Okay.
I want to be a mobile gas station.
Get a Starfarer.
No kidding, right?
$50 a gallon.
Hit us with that next question, OG.
All right. So for players who are new to salvage and mining, Rim, what advice would you offer to help them get started and succeed in these activities?
I would say with salvaging is take your time. Like,
Yeah.
don't rush it and keep reading things and watching videos on that's going to help you.
Yeah.
If you're going out and you're EVAing to grab components, you will knock yourself out on things. You will hit yourself in the face with boxes. But just like a certain person kept doing the other day when we were doing bunker missions. Who could that have been? It was me.
It's like, oh, my bad.
If things, if things don't go right, just don't let that dishearten you.
Yeah.
You'll get
Yeah.
the hang of it.
Yeah.
Because especially when it comes to mining, it is a difficult process to learn and get used to. There's a lot of things you can not be paying attention to and cause you to blow a wing off your ship. You know?
Yeah. And it was mining. The
I mean, I
biggest
know.
thing I used was just there's a few kind of online resources that were
We're gonna get to that.
absolutely fun. I know. I'm just setting the stage for it.
Yeah, I got you.
They were just absolutely fundamental for me, kind of getting my head around it.
Yeah.
I would say my overall advice for any new player coming into the game who wants to get into the industrial part is this game almost honestly forces I'm not going to say forces you, but if you want to succeed at a certain career path, it is practice, 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 practice.
Yeah.
And it will be frustrating. And as it stands right now, with it being an alpha and having to fight the bugs and the glitches and all that, it requires a lot of patience. So for anybody that may be viewing this that is new and thinking about it or listening to this on Spotify, be patient. If you don't have a lot of patience, you're going to get angry quick. And we don't play games because we want to experience what we experience in the real world. We play the games because we enjoy them and they're fun and it's a hobby. So be patient with it. And if it starts to frustrate you, put it down, come back later.
Mm-hmm.
But with any
I do that a lot.
profession, especially with mining and salvaging, it is salvaging. Shut up.
Salvaging.
Salvaging.
Okay, you got me. Fine,
That's
whatever.
The podcast.
Yeah,
That's
it's in
probably
there.
happening.
So you're gonna have to really just breathe, and if it happens, it happens, and just kind of shrug it off and move on. It will get better. Let me tell you, it will get better. But yeah. So as it
Before we
stands,
move on,
okay.
I just want to say the other thing that's going to be hugely helpful if you're getting into it is don't be afraid to just type in chat. Hey, I'm new. I'm trying to learn either
This
salvaging
is
or
true.
mining. Is there anyone here that would be willing to give me a rundown of it or a hand learning it? And
Someone will come
I
out.
did that when I started learning mining, and there was this really nice guy that just here it sent me an invite to a party, and then by the way, this is the Discord I'm on. Jumped into Discord, and he's like, "Here, this is my prospector. Go jump in." And he's like, "I don't know why you're standing there. You're going to be flying it. On you go. I'll talk you through it."
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't just go through this how it works. He went through going through all my key bindings with my controller that could
Oh
be
wow.
improved. He went through so much. He spent about 3 hours getting me all set up and all sorted. And he's like, he was instrumental in just getting me kind of really into the game. Like one
Yeah.
of the first people I talked to, and he was just amazing. But there's
Yeah.
loads of people in Star Citizen like that that are willing to help you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So don't be afraid to ask for help because,
I take joy in helping people.
yeah,
I
I know
really
a lot
do.
of people like to pretend to be assholes, myself included, but we all aren't actually at heart. Apart from the video.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, that part it really does lead in because I was gonna make a statement that the Star Citizen community is vibrant and active and very helpful. And aside from the actual players in the game, aren't there resources and stuff like that outside of the game that are actually made by the community that are helpful? I know of a few that I've used throughout the years playing it. But what would be some of, I guess, your favorites that were? I'm gonna say made by the community because RSI does not have anything of those tools wise.
I know
But
there's a trading route site as far as it does the cargo running. I don't know if there is one for mining off the top of my head.
there is actually, and so it's called Gallo, which I'll put this up on the screen and hopefully in the comments if I can remember. But GALLOG.co is your Galaxy Traversed, is what it is. It's a premier logistics and cargo organization for Star Citizen. So there's that for that. You have Seastone, and you also have UEX Corp, which we're actually I've been thinking about making this a whole podcast episode is actually talking about these sites and everything like that and kind of breaking them down and all that, but we'll probably do that later. But UEX Corp is commodities based, and it can tell you things about the mining. Now salvaging is pretty much just one basic commodity. That's all it is, right? It's RMC. It'll tell you where you can get your highest price to where you can get your lowest price for selling it, right? So that helps with that side of it. But then you also have the mining aspect. So it's like, okay, I have each one of these commodities. Where can I get the highest price for it? So y'all should check it out. But
Yeah.
Rimfire, what are some of the other ones that you?
So SC Trade Tools is a great one.
I don't even think I have that in my list.
And another one, my absolutely favorite one for when I was getting started with mining. And there's also a bit of a plug to another org as well. So there's an org called Vanguard, and they have mining guide. I think it's vngd.net/mining guide. Or if you just search for Star Citizen mining guide,
Can
it
you
will
send
come
that to
right
me?
up. Of course I can.
You ain't got to do it right now,
And-
but like later. But you know,
Yeah. But it just gives you a step-by-step like a hand mining guide, chip mining guide, refining guide, and it's just step-by-step with pictures. It'll talk you right the way from start to finish. Give you
no kidding.
what's a good one to mine, what's tends to be less valuable, and it's it's almost as good as having someone talking you through it, like that's with you.
Right.
Um, and it's a fantastic reference to have on hand. So big shout out to those guys that made it. really, really good.
Heck yeah.
Good
And they've got
stuff.
a few other bits and pieces as well in a reference archive section. So if you're there anyway, have a wee snoop through it. It's got everything from drug labs and junkyards to specific issues with certain ships at the moment. So it's definitely worth a read.
Oh, yeah, definitely DM me those sites so I can add those in the description. So that way, if anybody's new or veterans want to look at it, check it out, they'll have that accessible. But I
Heck
think
yeah.
that these types of sites that are player driven are amazing. Let's just say that
Yeah.
to say the least. Amazing.
Yeah.
They're helpful, and they are awesome. And we should try to support that.
Heck yeah.
Use their stuff. Give them the likes, give them the follows and all that, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever would help them.
Of course.
So.
Of course. Heck
But,
A
yeah.
little caveat on that last site I gave with the mining guide. I don't think they've quite got mining gadgets into it, but I'd expect it there fairly soon because in the past I have seen them updating it pretty regularly. So
Yeah. Heck yeah.
just
Even if it's a work in progress, it's still a great start.
it's still fantastic. It's still got a lot of good information in it, but it just if you're looking right at this second for mining gadgets, they don't have it on yet, but I expect that to change in the very near future.
Heck
And that's
yeah.
no kind of I'm not trying to like down talk them in any way with that. They've done a fantastic job on that.
good stuff.
Heck yeah.
So that's pretty much going to wrap it up, except for our little tidbit that we do at the end, because Florida is full of some amazing people that love to do some amazing things, and OG is gonna tell us about some of those amazing people that do amazing things, specifically here in Florida, or also known as OG.
Florida man. Found with drugs after getting trapped in a portaloo.
A porta potty?
Portaloo is what the post says. But porta potty.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Shitter.
Okay, just me. Yeah, I got it.
Florida man stuck inside of a porta potty was arrested on drug charges after Collier County deputies found him screaming for help. James Goose, 34, was found by a deputy with a foot sticking out of the bottom of a porta potty. The station reported when the deputy opened the bathroom door, they found a powdery substance in a bag that later tested positive for fentanyl, along with a syringe.
Oh my god. So he was stuck.
He
in
was
a
his
porta potty.
foot. His foot had blown through the bottom of the porta potty.
So, are these just random stories you're reading out, or are they?
Yeah, these are just things I find. These are just
Yeah,
Florida
these
man stories.
Florida man posts about people doing some crazy stuff in Florida.
Yeah.
It's our little tidbit that we do at the end. Sometimes he can
Got ya.
find us some good ones.
Mm-hmm.
But so guy was probably high, more than likely.
Oh yeah,
on fentanyl.
on that good.
On a good. Yeah, sure.
On that good.
I guess that's a matter of perspective. But anyway, foot blew through the bottom of the porta potty or portaloo, whatever you want to call it.
And he was found screaming for help by a deputy.
That is amazing.
Man, what do you do in that situation?
When was this reported?
This was reported
To give a date.
March 22nd of 2022. This is
March.
about a year ago. Yeah. A little over a year ago.
So typically during March, it's not the best temperature.
No.
And by temperature, I don't
No.
mean cool. I mean by
Yeah.
stupid hot, even still in March.
Yeah.
Inside of a smoldering porta potty.
And what I'm wondering is, was
Dedication to
this a porta
drugs
potty?
right there.
Was this a porta potty at a social event? Was it at a construction site?
It doesn't matter. It's still nasty. But anyway.
It doesn't matter where it comes from. Shit's still shit.
You can't polish a turd, as they say. You know what I mean?
You can paint it gold, though.
I've seen proof that you can somewhere. Was it Mythbusters?
Oh my god,
haven't
no,
seen
I'm
that.
not going. I'm not going there with y'all. But anyway, that is gonna conclude this, and I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope y'all found this useful.
Heck yeah. And Rim, man, thank you for joining us on this episode. We had an absolute
Anytime.
blast.
So did I.
Heck yeah. We're definitely going to do it again as more comes out with our salvage and mining.
And we're also
Excellent.
going to talk, hopefully here soon, about engineering gameplay. As soon as we get some more information on that, I would love to go dive into that, and I know you would too. But as always, folks, I'm going to roll it with this outro. Y'all have a great one. Don't forget to check out the About part, as it has all of our links. Otherwise, y'all have a good one.
Take it easy, guys. Bing bong!
Hey, Mini Vintage here. I just want to say thank you for all those that listen to this podcast. It means a lot to me and my dad. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, check the description down below for all our socials. 07 Citizens.